The topic which I decided for today's revision were what is the asphyxia, the definition of asphyxia, and the anoxia. Basically, these terms, the asphyxia or anoxia, are basically used to describe the oxygen deficiency state. One, I will give you the definition, what is asphyxia and what is anoxia. So, by definition, asphyxia means the interference with the process of transfer of oxygen to the lungs. The oxygen entry into the lungs is being interfered. Anoxia, it may be defined as it means interference with the oxygenation of the tissues. Interference in the oxygenation of the tissues. So, the anoxia in the broad-based term, the oxygen in the tissues, when there is the oxygenation of the tissues is interfered, the cause may be starting right from the entry of air into the air passages. So the anoxia is divided into 4 categories. Anoxic anoxia, when the oxygen cannot gain access to the lungs. For example, the environmental asphyxia, mechanical asphyxia, or stoppage of respiratory movement. These are the various examples. Anoxic anoxia, that oxygen cannot gain access to the lungs. Sometimes not present in the environment, sometimes passages not favorable to pass on the oxygen. Anemic anoxia, inefficiency of blood to carry the oxygen in sufficient quantity for the tissues, for example, anemia or carbon monoxide poisoning. In one case, the amount of hemoglobin is less in the carbon monoxide poisoning. The carboxyhemoglobin is inefficient to carry the oxygen. And third one is the stagnant or circulatory anoxia. When for some reason circulation fails, for example, hemorrhage, etc. Fourth is histotoxic anoxia. Here again, the oxygen is available in the bloodstream, but it cannot be utilized by the tissues because its delivery or entry into the cells where it can be utilized, it is affected. Extracellular histotoxic anoxia means when the oxygen from the blood to the tissues is not possible because of it involves the enzymes like cytochrome oxidase, and that is being poisoned because of some drugs or some poison. So the transfer of oxygen from the blood to the tissues is not possible. Pericellular histotoxic anoxia, oxygen cannot enter into the cells. Although it is available in the blood and it has reached at the level of the cells, but it cannot enter into the cells. And this can happen because of decreased permeability of the cell membrane, and it may result to certain agents like anesthetic agents, chloroform, halothane. This I have asked this point in the MCQs as well. Substrate histotoxic anoxia, there is insufficient foodstuff for efficient metabolism by the cells. Although oxygen is available, but foodstuff is not available for which oxygen is required. Metabolite histotoxic anoxia, The end products of cellular metabolism cannot be removed, for example, uremia, carbon dioxide poisoning. These are the possibilities. Next, the second aspect of asphyxial deaths is we have to study the what physiological, what chemical, and what pathological changes take place during asphyxia. Physiological changes, three stages. In the stage one, there is reduced oxygen and increased carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide increase causes the stimulation of respiratory center, and there is increase in the rate and amplitude of respiration. I asked this question in the MCQs. Second stage, struggle to breathe, and mostly the person uh, make effort to exhale. Expiratory type of effort is increased. Cyanosis becomes further deepened, and neck vein swollen, congestion of face occur, and breathing become more difficult. In third stage, there is extremely slow breathing, and pupils dilate, and insensitivity of the conjunctiva, and respiration ultimately fail, and person may be dead. What are the various biochemical changes which take place in the asphyxial phase? Oxygen concentration is reduced, carbon dioxide concentration is increased, pH is on acidic side. I have asked this question in MC. The pH is on acidic side. Increase in blood sugar level, increase in the potassium level in the blood because failure of sodium potassium pump. So these are changes, they are present due to the asphyxia in the biochemistry of blood. Pathological changes which can take place, the reduced oxygen, the most sensitive part is the brain or the nervous tissue and the blood vessels. So what happens in case of brain, it, the tissue may be damaged, and if the oxygen supply remains suspended for 3 minutes, more than 3 minutes, the brain tissue becomes dead. Blood vessels are dilated, so consequently the capillaries and veins they become engorged and congested. As a result, congestion and cyanosis occurs, and due to increased permeability, there is edema of the tissues, and thirdly, there is because there is degenerative changes in the blood vessels, they may lead to the formation of preeclampsia. And this was the French police surgeon. I asked this question in the MCQs. The French police surgeon, Mr. Tardieu, who discovered the first time the presence of preeclampsia in the asphyxial deaths. Postmortem fluidity of blood is another feature which is because of the release of fibrinolysines from the capillary endothelium. So collective, if you sum up all these things, the non-specific pathological findings of asphyxia are CCFPP. Then cyanosis, congestion, fluidity of blood, pulmonary edema, P stands for edema is throughout the body, but lungs, the soft tissue, so it becomes apparent quickly in the lungs. Particularly hemorrhages, they are also present in many organs, but the lungs, brain, on the surface of heart, on the face, on the conjunctiva, you can demonstrate all this. That's all. This is the, you can find the congestion, particular hemorrhages, again, congestion, particular hemorrhages on the forehead, all right, on the lungs. We will continue in the next lecture.